El stream debería empezar ya. Ok. Control, aquí estás. Mi frutita se acabó, mi cena, así que aquí. Cierro esto lo dejo abierto y... así, vamos a jugar. Hay que... Charelle.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
¿Qué onda, Ricardo? ¿Cómo andas? ¿Me vas a ayudar con la historia? A ver, tiene una llave. Esta es la primera vez que
Renato
lo miro.
finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
Oh. Reinaldo lo podría utilizar de alguna manera para hacer que la traición de Lupino. Tonto por confiar en Lupino de nuevo. Debe controlarlo o mejor aún. El emperador.
Renato couldn't quite put his paw on when he'd realized Lapino was working for the Empire.
Sí, es que se me hace raro lo de la llave porque ayer, ayer que estábamos jugando,
The rabbit had been on too many disastrous missions where
no había
he
ninguna
was the
con
only
llave.
survivor, or where he accidentally missed getting on the boat that went
Ahorita quiero
down to the
probar que
abyss
me
in
lleva el camino de la
flames.
llave.
If Renato could prevent Lapino from getting back to the fleet with all the intelligence he'd probably gathered, it might be worth the trip. ¿Qué onda? ¿Estás cargando en LOL, por cierto? ¿O andas practicando Jace? Ya, para que no quede 0.14. O era 0.13, algo así. How had they come to this? They'd been on so many adventures together. Lapino had talked Renato out of prison at least 4 times, and Renato had rescued Lapino from at least 2 lynch mobs.
¿Qué? ¿Ya no quisiste usar a Jace? ¿Te dio miedo? faltan piedras para mejorar.
Come on. One fox, no waiting.
Nope. Ah, rayos.
But he'd always felt that the rabbit resented him. Peppino was hilarious because he was so down on himself and everyone else. But behind the laughs, he wasn't.
Que te
a
dé
happy
carrita la de
camper.
Carrie, ya que lo dejaste gordito.
Or did the Empire have his little white tail in a vice?
Es que Jace es para sacar ventaja en early y no soltarla para nada. Para que siempre de una Q bajes una cosa horrorosa a cualquier carry.
These things could really use a hand.
Al rato que escuches un ataque, ¿de dónde? ¿De dónde? Uy, me pego. Vale.
Check, please.
Energía matar, nivel 3, perfecto. ¿Qué pues? Nomás no te vas a morir, por andar distraído. Capaz si te va mal. Aquí es donde andaba. Ahí voy.
That's my order, thought Renato. He was such a wit.
¿Quién sabe cuánto tiempo esté gratis, la verdad? No tengo idea. Era en el Humble Dumble. Ya ves. Se te fue, pues igual. Ya tocará después. Mientras, acompáñame en esta aventura de cuentos, historias de terror.
I need more materials, thought Renato.
Ahí tengo otro punto. Pura energía, YOLO. Oh, casi. Casi.
Don't be shy.
Y se murió. Pues en la toma de decisiones, porque pues en teoría ya hemos desbloqueado bastante. Te echo un grito. Ahorita estoy buscando recursos para mejorar la espada que me hace falta. Casi me agarro. Ven pa' aquí.
Lapino would betray him. The core was dangerous. And Renato had a fleeting idea that the two ideas went together somehow. And then it was gone again. Ah, damn ideas. They never stuck around when you needed them.
Ya estás.
Renato checked to make sure his
Mientras
sword was
carrilea tu
secure.
partida. Tú puedes.
Yep.
Confío en ti. Ya mientras me echo una cerveza mientras. Ya, es la del puto padre, la carta del padre culero. ¡No! ¡Oh, me tragué la bomba!
I pick you.
Lapino.
Bloody and exhausted, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing shuffling his favorite deck. Now that he knew what the rabbit was, there were a few things about him that Renato didn't find so amusing anymore. You sent me an urgent message saying that you're in danger. Oh, I am. The ravens are coming. Now, I got a clever plan to kidnap Zenobia. Renato wanted to clap shackles on the rabbit and shout, "You're a traitor, and I'm not falling for it." But if there was one thing Renato was sure of, it was that the core of the Sky Ripper was dangerous mostly to its user. If he could put it in the Emperor's hands, old Isengrim III might blow himself and his fleet up with it. Yes,
Toca
that
selección.
was it.
O le sigo yo mientras en lo que andas ocupado. Denuncia al traidor. Reinaldo entonces supo lo buen actor que era Lapino. No es ninguna sorpresa que había sido engañado por ese traidor. Tal vez debería denunciar al conejo aquí y ahora poner fin a sus planes y conseguir un poco de venganza. Enviar al traidor a buscar el núcleo. Reinaldo entonces supo que buen actor que era Albino, bla bla bla. Tal vez podría dar ese traidor petulante la ubicación del núcleo de Kiriper. Y mientras Lapino entrega la inestable arma al enemigo, Reiner visitaría a Zenobia. Vámonos abajo pues.
Renato felt like a real hero, brave and smart. He told the rabbit all about the Sky Ripper's God's Eye core.
I'll go get the core while you attack Zenobia.
He told the rabbit. Wait, I've an even better idea. I'll get the core and you attack Zenobia, said the rabbit. Right, yeah, that is better, agreed Renato. Perfect. The traitor would make sure the Emperor got the core. Now Renato just needed the Emperor to use the core. If he could only get something that the Emperor wanted very badly. Zenobia. He could save her and bait the Emperor at the same time. Right. Now, all Renato had to do was fight his way through Zenobia's invading troops, sneak onto her ship and into her bedroom, and kidnap her without any of her dozens of guards alerting her. Then, he would rely on her love for him to convince her how evil her father was, so she'd run away with him instead of going back to her father, who was going to blow himself up. It did sound a little risky. But Renato had a feeling it would work out somehow. It always did.
Sharp? Check. Pointy? Check. Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword? Renato felt a little bad stealing crafting materials from chests. He preferred to rob them from people at sword point.
Interesante ahí abajo. No puedo pasar por allá.
He had all the ingredients for a pretty nifty sword.
Ya su madre, órale. Adiós, puto. Y se fue. Aunque ya no sé para qué busco materiales y ya tengo las espadas. Creo que ya tengo todo el máximo.
Wow. The sword felt even colder.
Las gemas creo que ya también las tengo todas. Sí. Vamos a ver acá. Update.
This couldn't be good for global warming.
Bueno, creo que ya tengo todo lo del juego. Ya no, los cofres solo me dan frutas. Vamos por aquí. Órale, las cloacas, interesante, ahí no he estado. No me acuerdo de ver, capaz y sí.
Well, the eyes have had it. Renato was halfway to Zenobia's encampment when Lapino showed up. He was disheveled and distraught. They jumped us. I barely got away. Oh, they got the core. Oh, it was all going according to plan, thought Renato. Now he just needed Zenobia on his side. Yes, that was even better. The Iblis Stone. Zenobia could get it. And then the Emperor would have to pursue them. Wait. No. The gem would corrupt anyone. Even her. That's it, he thought.
No, mandamos al conejo con el
Lapino.
núcleo y dice
Even
que se
though
lo robaron.
Lapino was already a
Así
traitor.
que ya sabes que el conejo
Would
miente más
turn
que
him
otra
against
cosa.
his secret master, the Emperor.
Creo que ahorita ya va a hacer otra vez la
Make
selección
himself
de...
Emperor. And the Emperor would
de
have to
caminos.
defend himself with the core. Boom. He was a super genius.
¿A cuál le damos? Ahorita te voy a dejar escoger una a ti y ahorita yo voy a escoger una. Digo, una historia completa y luego una historia completa. ¿Enviamos a Zenobia a buscar la piedra de Iblis o enviamos a Lapino a buscar la piedra de Iblis? Creo que eso va a estar ocupado. Voy a seleccionar yo mientras entonces. Vamos a enviar a Lapino. Ok. Ah, justamente contestas.
Terrible, Renato told the rabbit. If only I had gone for the Iblis stone. But now it's lost in enemy territory. He handed Lapino a map. It gives the bearer so much power. We can only hope the Emperor never finds it. What was that? Said Lapino. I think someone's following us. I didn't hear anything. Rabbit ears. You go on ahead. I'll check it out. And with that, Lapino hopped off with the map. I wonder what happens if I go that way.
Ya, otra carta del padre. Vamos.
So, who's your next of kin? Just wondering.
¿Quién faltó? Faltaba este. Vámonos.
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. She was curled up on her bed. He'd forgotten how beautiful she was, how sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She was made of smoke, and he noticed he had a very solid blade to his throat. Did you really think you could capture me? Heard a familiar voice. I just wanted to chat, said Renato. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? He needs a sacrifice, someone who truly loves him, to make a bargain with the lost gods. That's a vicious lie. He wants to bring them back. That's crazy. Why would anyone... They could make him immortal. An eater of souls. And with that, her eyes widened. She understood. Renato told her how he had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred. How he had slept in a burnt village. At midnight, the Emperor's victims had come to him in his dreams to tell him of the hideous eldritch rituals they'd been sacrificed in. He could still see those kittens and puppies. Their wide, sad eyes, their moist noses. You can't prove that. I've got a witness at the observatory.
Pam, param.
When her father blew himself and Lapino up. So he told her about how the Emperor's obscene rituals had raised ancient artifacts out of the land. How he'd followed the appalling trail of the hideous horrors His Majesty had perpetrated for the sake of his own immortality.
Any of this ring a bell? He said. He told me it was all lies. You've always known when I was lying. I always hated that about you, said Renato. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them.
Sorry? ¡Ay! Me morí. Empecé bien. Perfecto. Y mejor porque pero las rocas para qué servirán?
Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you join in? No! I'd destroy his books and I'd... Oh, God. Okay, you're not completely wrong. They've resurrected one of his victims. Well, look, I mean, look, it's not exactly alive, but it can talk. A true witness, she said. This was definitely better than pulling yourself up in a bucket. Energy cannons. The last argument of kings. We have to stop.
Debería una forma de llegar allá. Churú.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The Ravens had taken special care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared at the carnage. He didn't want me to hear the witness, did he? I guess not. What's your plan? She asked. So, Renato explained his brilliant gambit. Sending Lapino to get the Iblis Stone, become super powerful and corrupted, provoke the Emperor into using the core against him, thus blowing up both of them, and hopefully the fleet too. Let me visit your council, she said, shaken. I want to help. Could he really trust her?
A ver, toque lección otra vez. El plan de Rena funciona. ¿Dónde estaba? Okay.
He'd done it. He'd made Zenobia see how evil her father really was. He wished she didn't feel this urge to join in the rebellion. After all, he'd taken care of the Emperor, right? Yeah, but she'd always been conscientious like that. She told him she had to go somewhere first. So Renato gave her the location of the secret base, and they agreed to meet in the ruins. He had a very good feeling about this. What had Zenobia gone off to do? What was more important than meeting the rebel council? Had he made a mistake, sending her to the ruins? No. He knew they could trust each other. He could trust her because she never broke her word. And she could trust him because she could see right through him. Well, she'd probably be there well before him. She at least didn't have to fight her way through rainstorms of ravens.
¿A la tienda? ¿No hay de otra? Yo aproveché el fin de semana, me compré unas.
He missed her.
Yo quiero.
Zenobia, Hypatia.
Tú dijiste la otra vez que ibas a sacar el vino y no sé qué, y al final no llegó nada. El vodka, el brandis.
But then, he'd never figured the library of Ubar would have comic books, or that Hypatia would know anything about them. He missed her. Stay there. I'll go get the marshmallows.
Ah, subí de level, nice. Comida, comida, comida. Golpe. Ay, ay.
He was more and more extraordinary.
And more and more. Bingo. 2 down.
You never knew where the road would take you, thought Renato.
Oh.
Renato wondered what would happen if he jumped. Would he be rescued by an emergency platform? As he came around the bend, there was Lupino, unconscious on the side of the path. And Renato could smell a familiar, sweet, smoky scent. Who? Zenobia. It had to be. She never used a combat spell when she could use drowsy gas. That meant she had the Iblis Stone. What would it do to her? She hated her father now. She'd kill him for sure. The council wouldn't mind if she killed the Emperor, but murdering her father would destroy her. He had to get to whatever ledge she was on and talk her down from it.
Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug.
Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Everyone in the council chamber was dead. Zenobia stood shivering in the courtyard, drenched in blood. Why? He managed. They started arguing with me. I lost my temper and I wanted their blood. Well, not me. The stone did. Why did you take it from Lupino? I had a plan. You had a stupid plan, she said. I'm going to go kill my father now. No, you can't. You'll just take his place. You'll become worse than him. Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too.
Ya dijiste. Estaré esperando mi botellita. ¿Qué onda? ¿Detenemos a la gatita o hacemos que vaya y mate a su jefe? La venganza por las cartas, ¿no? Que vaya y mate al sapo. Lo que me contestas, voy a checar algo. Parararararararam. Vamos a hacer que mate a su jefe. No hay pedo.
Renata watched her
Que
board
mate
her
el puto
ship
sapo culero.
and sail off. A few days later, the sun dimmed. A great void opened in the sky, black as the Iblastone itself. It stretched and ripped like a vast fatal womb, and a gaze black and pitiless as the sun passed through the void into the land. And so the lost god Iblis once again came into his own, and time stopped. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
¡Fuck! ¡Me morí!
What had Zenobia gone off to do? What was more important than meeting the rebel council? Had he made a mistake, sending her to the ruins? No. He knew they could trust each other. He could trust her because she never broke her word. And she could trust him because she could see right through him. Well, she'd probably be there well before him. She at least didn't have to fight her way through rainstorms of ravens.
No. Vale, todos hechos cubito de hielo.
He thought about Hypatia. Oh, she'd been an amazing rabbit. She could talk to him about comics and talk to her son about history and battles, and talk to scholars about the ancient tomes hidden deep in the vaults of the Library of Ubar. Oh, Renato really missed her.
Vale. Rippon pepperoni.
As he came around the bend, there was Lupino, unconscious on the side of the path. And Renato could smell a familiar, sweet, smoky scent.
Sweet, sweet.
Who? Zenobia. It had to be. She never used a combat spell when she could use drowsy gas. That meant she had the Iblastone. What would it do to her? She hated her
Fuck, no
father
vi que
now.
me vio.
She'd kill him for sure. The council wouldn't mind if she killed the Emperor, but murdering her father would destroy her.
Sí,
He
continúa,
had to get to
continuaré.
whatever ledge she was on and
La
talk her
muerte fue
down
sin
from
querer.
it. Two eyes good. One eye dead.
¡A la bestia! 19 de vida. Si me despido, no la cuento.
The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak.
A ver si encuentro un poquito de vida.
What's behind door number 2?
Energía, quería vida. Bueno, no tocaba vida.
Everyone in the council chamber was dead. Zenobia stood shivering in the courtyard, drenched in blood. Why? He managed. They started arguing with me. I lost my temper and I wanted their blood. Well, not me. The stone did. Why did you take it from Lupino? I had a plan. You had a stupid plan, she said. I'm going to go kill my father now. No, you can't. You'll just take his place. You'll become worse than him. Get out of my way, or I'll kill you too.
Rayos. Bueno, ya vi que el de arriba me mata automáticamente, así que toca el de abajo.
Said, and I won't let you kill the Emperor. Enraged, she raised the sword. You hate him too? He could sense the Iblastone, yearning for his death. But she didn't strike. If you kill him, he'll destroy you. I know you. Shut up! She shouted, her sword trembling. I won't lose you again. Not for anything. Get away from me, he said, and he was very close. I can't lose you again. And he was in reach of her sword now. I hate him! I hate you too! I love you, he said for the very first time. And then she was weeping. He was holding her. The sword had dropped from her hand. He glanced at the Iblastone. It was no longer the black of the void. It looked like coal. No. It glowed, like a cinder. It was crackling, burning, crumbling into ashes. You've always loved me, haven't you? She said. She was weak. The stone had taken so much from her. Always, he said. She staggered as he helped her up. Let me take you away. Where? The island of Avalon. The sisters will heal you. He'll follow us. Then we need the Farfarer, the fastest ship in the Empire.
Bueno, por lo menos esta decisión no me mató. Ya es ganancia. Don't kill me, please.
The Empire had seized his ship. They'd have to take it back.
Vámonos. Por acá. Voy para allá a ver si consigo un poquito de vida.
It was time for a little exploration.
No, no quiero energía. No sé más. ¡Dal! ¿Solo una fruta de salud? Está bueno. Cachín, es el efecto. Estoy llegando.
And there it was, his beautiful skycraft, the Farfarer. They would fare very far indeed, beyond the Empire, beyond the reach of the Empire, to the mystical island of Avalon. He didn't know exactly where it was, but he knew he could find it. And they would find peace there. Second star on the right, and straight on till morning, laughed Zenobia. And they laughed together for the first time in a long time.
In a long time. Va a ser otro final de la gatita entonces. Interesante. ¡Ah!
Stay frosty.
¿Me pueden dar un poquito de vida, please? De un golpe nos mandan al abismo.
The platform used a hybrid propulsion system fueled by anti-gravity and wishful thinking.
Uy. Por aquí. A ver. Póntala, no, la farfela. Este es ver enemigos. Sí. ¡Ay! ¡No, no, 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 no! ¡Casi me muero! ¡No! Me morí. Otra vez mi mal hábito de pegarle las bombitas. Listo.
But they did not go unnoticed. Scout ships lifted off, and the long lance of the Imperial flagship. Bernardo turned downwind to gain speed. The Raven ships could pursue, but they couldn't close. The Farspeaker croaked, "Return her and live! Go sacrifice yourself," yelled Bernardo.
Vas a sacrificarte tú
You
mismo.
won't have her either. On the flagship, the Emperor was readying some arcane weapon. It couldn't be. It was the core. A devastating beam lanced out of the flagship. Bernardo zigzagged wildly to keep the Farfare out of it. Now the Raven scout ships were closing the distance, and the beam was getting closer too. Then came a blinding flash, and the air was searingly hot all around him. There was a thunderous, deafening roar. He could smell burnt oak and burnt feathers and burnt flesh. But when he could hear and see again, they were alive and unhurt. And they were alone in the sky. Zenobia embraced him. They had done it. Through luck and through love, they had won the war. "Avalon, here we come," he said as he held her arms wide in the prow of the boat and let her feel its speed. "Maybe the real Avalon is wherever we're together," she said. And so, after a bit of an argument, Bernardo and Zenobia went to one of the two Avalons. The one shrouded in mists, or the one in their hearts. But which one they went to, I'll never tell. He'd done it. He'd forged his own destiny. Well, He hadn't actually done it, but he knew what he would do. Renato smiled at the book. He practically wanted to kiss it. The kid's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. He'd saved the book and saved the world. Renato owed him and his mother so much.
¡Era el final!
Renato lowered the mainsail and let the Farfarer shoot
sea, no la vi
forward in the
venir.
breeze. Second star to the right, and straight on till morning. This time, he would win.
¡Órale! Dime que puedo conseguir los otros finales, por favor. No seas tan hojaldre. Ve. No seas tan hojaldre. Déjame ver los otros finales, please. El buscador de la verdad te ayudará a encontrar los caminos hacia la verdad que... Ah, mira. Busca este icono cuando tomes decisiones en el libro. Esta opción puede ser modificada en el menú de opciones. Bueno, me ayudarán, pero... también tomaré mis propias decisiones. No sean tan hojaldres.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion.
Parararararam.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely.
Así que el
Also,
final era que se
a
escapaban
temple had
juntos.
risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there.
Nice, nice.
It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also,
Parararararam. Vamos a hacernos malos.
the island
¡Vámonos!
was windswept desert. No one
Chingue su.
went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it.
And so, Renato went ostrich hunting.
A ver, vamos directo al de estas. No creo que en la tienda me parezca algo, así que... voy a revisar la tienda. Y si
Every
no, voy
child could
saltando
sing
casi
verses
directo a
about
las
the Sky
misiones.
Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away.
Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now?
La tienda ya no tiene
Drawn
nada
up
para
from the
mí.
deeps by the
Avancemos a lo
Emperor's
que
horrific
vamos.
rituals?
Pa, 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 parara.
What was he doing here? The last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul.
Lo vamos a matar.
That was awesome!
Ataca, ojito, ataca.
The ravens were
Está
already
muerto.
here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late.
Brilliant. Lovely. Pull that hose.
¡No! La bomba. Ahí está, alcancé a ir. Oh, nice level. Vamos a ver qué le subo ahorita. Yo me quedé pasada, así que este sí lo agarro. Más minerales, vamos. Si no me equivoco es por aquí. Sí.
So that's what they meant by a firewall. What unlocks a firewall? There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
Ya tengo más.
Oh, it's a bicycle!
Ahí me pegó.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Pa 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 para pa 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 para pa para para pa pa pa.
Good thing Renato didn't have vertigo.
La cagué. Ya me fui de paso. Tragué dos bolas. Esta es la Rocky.
It was a stone of the purest blackness.
The beauties.
It reflected no light, like a void made solid.
Vamos a matar a
Nervous, he
la
picked it up.
conejita. I can make you power.
Thirsty.
Kill them.
That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once.
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. It's the core, said the stone anxiously.
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Vamos por la gata.
Why was he listening to a talking
El
rock?
otro no se engaña.
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the Transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed the souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls. Its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
Wow! He didn't even need to aim it.
Bueno, no está mal. Taratatarata. Voila.
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
This chest had teaspoons stolen from every inn in Boreas. Oh, and something more useful.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
Uy, se cayó. Cuenta. Vámonos por aquí, a ver qué hay. ¡Ah! ¡No! Fuck, ¿en serio?
Bet you never saw that coming. Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Dun, 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 dun. Sigamos. Bien. Ahora te doy cráneo.
Finally, Reynardo caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. How could he be the hero he wanted to be?
Bueno. Te toca morir por la venganza del otro
With a
día.
flick of his wrist,
Siento.
he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened even more. And then the light went out of them. Reynardo felt amazing. Power was rushing into him like water from a burst dam. Oh, such brilliance, exulted the Iblis stone. Tasty.
He felt a bit bad about killing her. He was pretty sure she still loved him. But needs must when the devil drives. Reynardo returns to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly.
It was time to seize the outpost and let the Emperor know what he had done. The Nexus was beautiful. He never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. Black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home.
Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there. Our statue. Up ahead was Lapino. What was he doing here? Bernardo! Hey, buddy! Hey there, old buddy! Please don't kill
Killed me.
Why would I kill you? Asked Bernardo, although he had been thinking about it. Well, you've become... no, I mean, no disrespect at all here. Kind of evil? Maybe you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think? See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep? I suppose you wanted, Bernardo
cabrón.
said.
Se bugueó la espada.
Lapino in the chest.
Doble espada en el mapa.
Oh, had he just killed Lapino? Oh, damn it.
Rip, conejito.
Renato had always wanted a flying carpet. This was more like a flying tabletop. But it would do.
Eso servía. La mamada.
Renato rampaged through the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging.
What the
At the
fuck
last
con esa
moment,
frase?
he remembered not to kill the Far Speaker Toad. After all, he wanted a word with the Emperor. But there was only silence. The Emperor was scared, like little girl. Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. Yes! Applauded the Iblestone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his Far Speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino.
Soy malo hoy. Ahora.
Renato called the rebel council to let them know to gather their forces. Then he killed the Far Speaker Toad. Why? Oh, because to make sure his sword was sharp. Oh no, that's awful. So no one else could use it. Yes, that's it. Then he set off for the ruins and the secret rebel base.
Pam, 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 pam. Es que hay una manera de
The
purificarla.
ruins were crawling with ravens. Probably looking for the secret base, Renato thought. But then he realized they're probably looking for me. They must be very scared of me. Well, here I am. You honest warrior. Whispered the Iblestone. And he had to agree with it, for once. Who was as good as Renato?
Mira yo.
No one could beat Renato at hot potato.
Supongo que este final debe ser malo. Al menos que me apliquen la de te mato si no haces lo que quiero.
Renato was so happy. The stone was the best friend he'd ever had.
Lord.
Really? Who would bury such a treasure in the desert? Soon, he'd go rally the rebellion and usher a new age for the islands of Erda.
La mejor amiga que nunca has tenido.
Urged the stone. Let me make you emperor. Come to think of it, Renato thought as he put down another raven, why shouldn't I be emperor? How did anybody get to be emperor anyway? By making war. I mean, not counting the transcendent emperor, obviously, who had banished the lost gods and started time. Yes, he should be emperor. He would make a great emperor. Right, Stone? Oh, right, boss. Renato hated gogglers. It freaked him out to cut
Casa
them.
baja casi 100. Bastante.
The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
Open the door.
Renato strode into the council. Let's do this thing. Let's make me emperor. They looked confused and nervous. Ah, had he mentioned the emperor thing? Yeah, he meant to bring that up later. I mean, let's go win this rebellion. He waved his sword around encouragingly. They ran. Cowards. He'd stop them. He cut down a few to inspire the others. But soon, there was no one to cut down. Well then, he'd have to attack the fleet alone. More for me, he said. Unless it was the stone that said it. Traitors. Traitors, all of them. They'd run rather than following him, rather than cheering him. What should he do to the cowards? Anything he wanted to. After all, he was a true hero, the best warrior there ever was. No one could stop him now. But first, finish him. The Emperor, that is. Where was the rebel fleet? They weren't even trying an assault. They were going to miss a day in history. The downfall of this dynasty, and a new one to take its place. He didn't have to kill all the ravens. He could enslave them. And enslave the toads too. All the animals would worship him as a god. For he had once been a god. They would willingly give him their blood and their souls. And the world would change. It would become familiar again. It was like having a pet. Well, like having a goblin for a pet.
Vámonos. Al campo de batalla. Se cayó la maderita.
Barely landed a claw on him. glowing with dark power. Already the sun had dimmed. He could do anything, he realized. He could wrap the island safely in smoke again.
Pobrecito.
Beyond a hero. He was going to become a god again. How odd, he thought, that the Iblis Stone had nothing to say about any of this. Well, no matter. Once he killed this petty Toad Emperor, he would bring back the Black Sun. Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. He would be cursing a blue streak.
Ay, me gustan los bolas. Ya avanzo más rápido.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of it. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
Y se acabó.
He found the Emperor and the Council huddling by his ship, plotting. They saw him and cowered before him.
Back to hell, fiend.
Croaked the Emperor desperately.
In the name of the Transcendent Emperor.
Croaked the speaker. They held some arcane items he didn't recognize. He simply flexed his will and sucked their souls out of their bodies. And Iblis exulted. It is finished. And the void that had been a mere stone on a sword expanded. It stretched and ripped like a vast womb. And a gaze, black and pitiless as the sun, passed through the void into the land. And so time ended.
Y así todo se acabó.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose.
La bestia, me
The
faltan
rebellion
19
was in
finales.
trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Oh, por la del medio.
Every
Sky
child knew
Ripper.
about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces deep. And then, this Emperor's horrific sacrifices had brought it back to the surface. Bernardo wasn't exactly sure how to use the legendary weapon. But surely, there must be some way to do it without provoking another catastrophe. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the Earth? It was more than Reynardo could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it.
Entonces me faltaría encontrar más
Lane?
cosas.
Did rabbits? Reynardo felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Reynardo never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it? Who are you looking at? Oh, right. No one.
Pasa por acá que hay. No, pensé que habría algo. Vamos a ver.
Was the craziest weapon he'd ever used. Or not used. There had to be a way to use the Sky Ripper without causing a catastrophe. Why? Maybe it's always dangerous, he imagined Zenobia saying.
La verdad detrás del
Always the voice of
Sky
reason,
Ripper
that one.
está envuelto en una
Well, there
espesa
had
niebla.
to be a way to
La
use the
historia más
Sky Ripper
creíble es
because
que el
not being
emperador
able to use it was
trascendental ha utilizado el
boring.
Sky Ripper para
So there.
desterrar a Iblis. Después el E.T. ¿Son Malir? Enterró el arma y desapareció. Fue un autoexilio impuesto para librarnos al mundo de su última presencia divina, o era el precio a pagar por el uso del tremendo poder. ¿Podrían el Sky Reaper y Iblis tener una conexión más profunda que simplemente la de una arma y su víctima? Mis rituales convocarán a la piedra Iblis. Tal vez debería preocuparme de que también provocarán que resuelva el Sky Reaper. Si ese es el caso, no debería escatimar ningún recurso para encontrarla. Un arma que puede desterrar a un dios es una moneda de cambio inestimable si los antiguos deciden traicionarme. Está en su naturaleza intentarlo. Pero los dioses son predecibles y puedo confiar en eso para siempre estar un paso por delante. Diario del emperador Insegrit III.
Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool.
Bueno, no me acuerdo haber estado aquí, así que aquí vamos a revisar todo el mapa. A ver qué hay. Vaya.
guys dress up as for Halloween? Just wondering.
Y aquí se viene. ¿Qué hay aquí? Ah, blood.
You blinked.
No, pensé que aquí había algo más. Muerte y destrucción.
Ah, a puzzle. Renato loved puzzles. Except when he couldn't figure them out. On the other hand, if there was a puzzle, it was probably meant to keep people away from
Ay, qué
something
puzzle.
good. There it was. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway.
The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
Segunda
It was a
pieza.
no-brainer.
Vamos a ver.
He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifice.
Mr.
Laura's sword's
Lapino.
point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core.
¿Qué hora es? No, son las... No, bueno. Yo me voy a dormir temprano porque todo...
¿Qué pedo,
He
loco?
looked up at the old
¡Ay, güey!
trees
¡Me
around
asustaste!
it.
¿Qué onda, güey?
They were so big and so
¡A su
old.
puta madre!
They'd been there before
Estaba
he was
pensando
born.
algo. ¿Qué haciendo, güey? ¿No, no apareciste el sábado para jugar LOL?
Se fue el internet,
Fronting
güey.
his own
¿Ah,
unimportance.
neto? Mal pedo.
Sí, así, ya vino un técnico el
He was no
domingo.
philosopher.
¿Y qué pedo? ¿Ya? ¿Ya?
Anyway, who cares?
Pues sí.
He was plenty important. He was a hero.
A ver, deja, termino
And soon he'd prove it.
una misión que estoy haciendo en un juego y ahorita le damos una partida a LOL si quieres.
Arre.
Ahí estás. Aprovechando los juegos que se
Why would
ponen
anyone put his
gratis.
slinky collection in a strongbox?
Voy a
Thought
activar el Windows porque somos
magic
piratas.
slinkies?
Hashtag somos piratas.
Hastas.
There was something else.
Piratería for the win.
Sí, a huevo. Dice que está activado.
¿Te sigue apareciendo el mensaje?
No al prenderla. Pero como se actualizó.
Oh,
Yo creo que por eso.
ya. Yo tengo el de... Que yo lo actualicé y me empezó a aparecer el mensajito en la esquina de que dice tu Windows es falso, pero ya no me dice nada más, o sea, nomás el puro de la pantalla.
No, a mí me salió una ventana esa de que Go Settings o Close.
Ah, lol, no, a ti sí te agarró bien mal.
Y me abrió 3 ventanitas. Pero dice que está activado. Sepa la chingada.
Ya sabes cómo es la vida.
Pero dice el nuevo soporte, güey. Algo bien, ¿no?
No mames, esa cosa se va a usar de todo menos de soporte.
No, sí, güey, tiene que, güey, está hecho para eso, güey.
Lo mismo decían de Grace que iba a ser AD Carry y se juega de jungla.
No, pero el Graves cuando le hicieron el rigor lo hicieron jungla, güey.
No, iba idea con tirador. Ya después, ya que todo el mundo lo utilizó de jungla, ya Rito se jodió. Pero ahí sí Rito la cago.
Puede ser jungla el Pike güey.
Esa madre puede ser jungla. Es más, lo único que creo que no puede ser es AD Carry, nomás porque no tiene rango. Pero con el hook que tiene y el ulti que lo aplica cada vez que mata a alguien, no mames. Eso se me hace bastante...
¿Qué tiene que ver con el trash en el...
Eso sí, no sé, no he visto el lore.
En el lore.
No tengo idea. Pero, o sea, tiene un ganchito como Trace, tiene su ulti que se resetea cada vez que mata a alguien al parecer. O asiste, supongo, no solo matar. Va a estar bien hardcore esa cosa. Pero a ver qué onda, a ver qué... Pues, ¿no tienes el PB?
There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths.
No, de la W está cura, güey.
¿Qué hace? Ok, yo nomás la chequé el gameplay, digo, el presentación de Rito, pero no chequé, no leí las habilidades ni nada. A ver, cuéntame.
Que te vuelve invisible, como que se pone bajo el agua según y te haces invisible, güey. Agarras un chingo de velocidad de movimiento, güey. Te vuelves como una Evelyn, güey, con la R.
Oh, ya. ¿Durante cuánto tiempo?
No dice, güey. Pero se sumerge bajo aguas espectrales, lo que camufla y te otorga un considerable aumento de su velocidad de movimiento. O sea, eso es como que te vas de bot a mid, güey. Te vas de bot a mid sin pedos, güey.
¿La neta? Esa madre está de jungla, güey. Con esa madre gang free.
No, y la pasiva, güey. La pasiva está súper broken.
A ver, lela.
Es una de pasiva de Garen, güey.
Ah, no, ¿es en serio?
Sí, güey, pero como funcionaba con la de Tam Kench.
Ay, no,
con la de Tam Kench. Dice, cuando Pike no es visto por algún enemigo, regenera rápido parte de la vida que perdió recientemente. O sea, que se le pone el escudito ese gris, no el escudito, pero esa cosa. Y te metes a un arbusto o algo así y te regenera esa parte, güey.
No manches.
O sea, como la W también de Rengar o algo así, güey.
Simón. No, pues que a toda madre, güey. Todos van a estar bien super welcome to League of Tank y asesino. Al menos nomás ese.
Está chido.
Tiene lo mejor de los dos mundos. De asesino y de tanques.
Va a estar algo bien.
La neta, sí. No lo voy a negar.
Y tiene stun.
Pues es el hook, ¿no?
No, la E haz de cuenta que te teletransportas atrás del vato y dejas una sombra como la de la hoy y cuando le picas de regreso, estunea y te da.
LOL.
Now he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy.
Pinche Rito,
And if
no.
it wasn't, well,
Que era un nuevo campeón y parece que está rompiendo todo. Luego va a decir, no se usa para nada.
There was an observatory on the Nexus.
Había un rumor
Maybe he
de que
should go
si
there before he
ayudaba a
fired it.
asistir a matar algo, aumentaba el oro de recompensa. ¿No está ahí entre las habilidades o pasiva? Había un rumor. Vamos a matar.
Renato had never been much of a student. At Sword Fu School, he'd never read the books, just looked at the pictures. And Zenobia. But weapons he understood. His gut told him that the Sky Ripper would work great. He would use it to take out the Imperial outpost. And what's the worst that could happen? The thing wouldn't work, and then he'd take it to the scientists, right?
Renato actually could think of a few things that were worse. But he would make sure they didn't happen this time. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
As he set out down the path, Renato wondered why the parts of the Sky River had only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had discarded it. This Emperor, Isengrim III, had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Perhaps that was bringing up lost artifacts. How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction.
And hopefully this time, just his destruction.
A ver, vámonos de paso. Esto no lo quiero.
Right, with the world's deadliest bowman right by his side.
Estás tremendo, güey.
Simón, ando jugando un jueguito de Stories, The Path of Destiny, creo que algo así se llama. ¿Está cura? Es de conseguir
He was tired of
Bueno,
slaughtering ravens.
es como unas minis historias de
Maybe it was
conseguir
time
varios
to
finales,
test out the new weapon.
dependiendo de la
He
toma de
turned a
decisiones
knob
que
on the
hagas.
Sky Ripper. It made strange mechanical noises. The wheels spun faster. It began
Está
to
entretenido y
hum.
está
The Sky Ripper was
gratis,
following
creo, en
his
el
every
Humble
step.
Dumble, por si lo quieres
At least it
descargar, ya que
acknowledged him
ya
as
que
the
no
master.
compras nada.
But there was no trigger.
De ahí sí los agarro
How was
todos,
he
güey.
supposed to
Ah,
fire
pues
it?
checa el
pero...
Humble Dumble a ver si
Fire.
está todavía.
He said. Nothing happened.
No, sí lo había
Well,
visto. Creo
maybe
que no
it just
está,
needed to
a ver.
warm up.
Yo lo
After all, it
agarré
hadn't been
el
fired in thousands of
sábado,
years.
creo.
No, no está.
El
Sí lo había visto, pero...
falta.
The Sky Ripper was making a whining noise now, and its wheels were spinning so fast he could no longer see them.
Es una especie de
Renato
hack
had
and
a thought.
slash con historia, entre comillas.
Please? He asked.
Bueno, es más historia que hack and slash.
Sky Ripper began to glow. Boom! The outpost burst into flame.
Ravens flapped out screaming, wings on fire. The base was his. The far speaker toad came hopping out. Renato! It croaked, sounding like a toad version of Zenobia.
Don't use the Sky Ripper. It will destroy the world.
Yeah, sure it will, cracked Renato. Pull the other one.
If you don't trust me, go see Calaveras.
That sounded sensible. Why did she always have to sound sensible all the time? Oh, it was infuriating.
Of course, she would say that. He was supposed to hurry and bring the Sky Ripper to the council so the rebels could actually win the war. But what if she was right?
Damn it.
En la fregada. Vamos a ganar la guerra.
Just this once, he would not let Zenobia get into his head with her logic and her wisdom and her appeals to reason. He was a fox. He'd go with his instincts, and it would all work out like it always did. Oh, he was sounding like a reckless idiot even to himself. But if there was one thing Renato could never bring himself to do, it was turn back on a decision he'd made. Imperials were flapping and cawing all around the ruins. They must be panicking with rumors flying of the superweapon. Maybe they hoped to find and destroy the base before he could put the Sky Ripper into action. The Sky Ripper was whining and heating up. It would be time to use that energy soon.
He was tempted to just stand on the device and let it do all the killing for him. But that wouldn't be sporting, would it? Or fun? Renato had never had a super weapon before. He'd single-handedly taken down an Imperial base. He felt good. He'd resisted all the distractions that were thrown in his path. Couldn't wait to attack the enemy fleet.
What was Zenobia talking about? This was a fantastic weapon. Ravens burst into flames with just a touch of its killer beam. He was tempted to leave it on all the time, but didn't want to accidentally slice off some council crew's head or tongue. She'd been trying to distract him. Well, this time, no one was going to distract him.
Power, precision, ferocity.
Me tragué el madrazo.
He'd buy it a drink.
¿Qué onda, Luis? Esta madre me va a matar.
The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. It was on fire. So far, so good.
Abre esta puerta. Este juego tiene cerca de unos 25 finales distintos. Ayer pasé 4 y ahorita este va a ser el tercero, creo. Entonces llevo 7 de un chingo.
As he headed towards the council chamber,
Sí, tristemente.
felt everyone
De
watching
poquito en
him.
poquito lo iré pasando.
You saved the rebellion, said the council speaker. Frankly, we were afraid you'd turn aside to save that idiot Lapino.
Not bloody likely, Renato told them, feeling he was maybe being a bit harsh on the poor mad rabbit.
If you never make sacrifices, he said, you're probably not doing the right thing. The speaker nodded. Are you ready to lead the charge? Let's roll, he said, with grim satisfaction. Renato set sail for the fleet. The Sky Ripper had lost its wine. It was humming now, as if it had taken some time to seat properly. He had always been irresponsible. This time, he'd done the right thing, made the hard decisions. He was a real hero. He hadn't let himself be distracted by old friends or old lovers turned enemies. Finally, he could be proud of himself.
Suerte. No te vayas a morir mucho nomás con los bots. Ya ves que son unos cracks. Pues trataremos de ganar Little Ricardo.
So was Sky Ripper.
Pero el juego
The Sky Ripper had a will of
pensé
its
que era
own.
más corto de lo que parecía,
Picked
pero
out its own
si por
targets
cada
and set them on
cada
fire.
final te
This
avientas
was gonna be a
casi
short
40
battle.
minutos,
He would set the ships on fire if he
El juego
didn't
te
need
tienes
them
que
to get to the
aventar
Emperor.
cerca de
And he wondered if he'd see
17,
Zenobia.
20,
Or
ponle
if she'd
20 horas
flee.
para
He
acabarlo
should be
todo.
proud of him. At least, bit of respect.
Está
He'd
criminal.
become an all-conquering hero.
Ah, por cierto, Ricardo, el primer final que hice hoy es el final correcto, el final de héroe. Por si luego lo quieres checar.
There was a sign. Take the goat across first.
Bingo. Oh, dodge.
There was a parchment on a signpost. It was from her.
Every time you fire, you risk the destruction of the universe. That's insane. We surrender.
He'd done it. He'd played chicken with Zenobia and won. He could hear the hordes blaring the retreat. She was wiser than he was, that was for sure. But wisdom didn't win battles.
Sí, exactamente. El final de el que tiene la cerradura.
Welcome to Earth. Renato told the corpses. It was something he'd seen in a play once.
Ah, al final se lo alcancé a hacer. Ah, sí. Ah, bueno, está bien. Como andabas jugándolo, dije capaz si se te fue una parte. ¿Por dónde es?
And there was Zenobia, wearing the white robes of surrender. She came and kneeled before him. Why didn't you listen to me? I was trying to save you too. You're the enemy, you said. I was never your enemy, Renato.
And he realized, not for the first time, how much she loved him.
Then she spoke a terrible word. I made a gesture with her hand. She stopped moving, covered in frost. And he wondered why she'd frozen herself. Then the Sky Ripper froze. And then, for a moment, he felt very cold. And discovered that he couldn't move. The next thing he knew, the sun was a giant. Monstrously red. It took up half the sky. And he was in a parched red desert. And then he was on fire.
Las esencias ya no me sirven. Otro final de la gatita. Bueno, ahorita voy a dejar este game aquí porque si me aviento un buen rato con el puro... con cada historia. Voy a tener que jugar de vez en cuando para ir completando el juego de poquito a poquito. Así que a jugar un rato LOL, a entrenar. Vamos a cerrar la transmisión y mientras voy abriendo el LOL. Ahorita vengo.